I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Round Ball Review. And with me this morning is Mr. Tyrel Kirkham, the Big 12's Chief Marketing Officer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Chris. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for joining me, taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. For those who are curious, what are the duties of a Chief Marketing Officer for the Big 12?
Oh, I could take up a whole day of your time, but to be brief, my job is to enhance the Big 12's brand. Obviously we have our championship events, but it's beyond that. It's how do we the perception of our conference. As we think about the leadership that's in place with our commissioner. It's about innovation. It's about access. It's about forward thinking. And it's my job on a daily basis to look at all the different assets that we have readily available. So thinking about our social content, our digital content, our experiential and our activations that we're bringing to market. What's our narrative in the marketplace? I'm tasked with of ensuring that all of those deliverables are met from a marketing and brand perspective.
How long have you been with the Big 12?
Going on, this is my about year and a half mark. Started back in 2022, so it feels much longer, just given the pace in which we're moving. But it's been one heck of a ride thus far.
And we have a common bond. We'll get into that later on in a few minutes. But why did you decide to join the Big 12?
Uh, One, it was a difficult decision as I was with the Detroit Pistons, which I know that's the common denominator here.
Correct.
Um, but Commissioner Yormark, he hired me in 2012 to work for the Brooklyn Nets as they were transitioning from New Jersey to Brooklyn. We've remained very close despite me. I worked for him for 6 years, and then I went to work for the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Pistons for quite some time. And when he calls, I answer. I believe in his vision. He's taught me a lot about the game, and hearing the opportunity here at the Big 12, given the storied history coupled with the sort of forward-thinking future, it was a no-brainer, and thrilled to be reunited with him and be a part of the collegiate landscape for the first time in my career and bring some new thinking and innovation to the industry.
What is the shared vision that you and Commissioner Yormark have for the Big 12?
It's pushing status quo. It's being disruptors. It's you know creative thinking. You've seen some of it on display, whether it's us going to Rucker Park or having Nelly perform with our bands during our football championship or reimagining Pro Day. It's just fun to come in and innovate and to have a leader that affords you the opportunity to bring ideas to the table and allow you to execute them. And I know my team and I get really excited not only on Brett but also just thinking about our membership and our ads and our presidents will all sort of give us that autonomy to think about and reimagine the Big 12 unlike ever before.
What was your, if any, your perception of the Big 12 prior to joining the Big 12?
Obviously, a great history as a kid growing up in New York. Collegiate athletics isn't the top of mind. I went to school, a small school, Cortland, right outside of Syracuse. So you can connect the dots. I was there with the Mello era, Jeremy McNamara, and that was fun. But it's not like Big 12 football, Big 12 basketball, where you've got this great history of big programs that are quite frankly treated like how the pros are represented in the Northeast. It's how the collegiate environment is in these markets. And I was an outsider looking in. I always respected what was going on, but truth be told, it was having the opportunity to come here in 2022 to truly understand the inner workings and have a greater appreciation for just the fandom and passion that exists in all the markets that make up our conference.
What challenges have you experienced so far in your almost 2 years in the conference?
I wouldn't say challenges. I think there's always going to be an acclimation process and understanding the lay of the land. I'm very much mindful as a marketer that I've got to be true to what we want to be. What's our identity? And there is no carbon copy. Everything has to be original. So when I was in Brooklyn, I marketed differently than I did in LA or in Detroit. And now that I'm here in Dallas working for the Big 12, and for me, I think my sweet spot is always living at the intersection of sport and culture. But there's a nuance to how you accomplish that, and I've enjoyed learning sort of the lay of the land, understanding what our student athletes are looking for, to understanding what our alumni base needs and understanding just the different dynamics. I was at the K-State Kansas game last night, and it was just great to see the traditions that exist and being able to bring that into my thinking as far as how we continue to build the brand, the Big 12's brand as a collective, are all super helpful insights that help me be a better marketer. And I think just that learning curve has been, I would say, an opportunity for me to continue to get better and truly perfect my craft.
You touched on a little bit the idea of the NFL Pro Day. I think this will be the first year of it, correct? Just elaborate on
Correct.
that.
Correct. Just thinking about the traditional pro day on campus environment and partnering with the Cowboys and going to the Star, or partnering with the Star as the venue and partnering with the NFL to bring a reimagined pro day to the Star here in Frisco was first of its kind. Again, back to that innovative thinking and disruption and giving our student athletes an enhanced experience. I think there's going to be a really cool outcome that's the sort of a byproduct of having everyone converge in one location, having all your NFL personnel, the NFL and Troy Vincent and his entire team being huge advocates for what we're doing and providing a tremendous amount of resources to ensure that this event is set up for success. And we're really looking forward to it in the next little over a month from now.
What are, if any, dealing with or competing against the Big Ten and the SEC as the perceived power two in football, college football? Is that a challenge or opportunity for the Big 12 to squeeze in there as well?
You've heard it from our commissioner. I've said it on record. We compete against ourselves. We truly want to be the best versions of ourselves. And, it's fun to wake up every morning knowing that I'm a Big 12 employee and that I've got leadership that allows us to do things that, maybe haven't been thought of in other spaces or even traditionally here within the conference. And to know that you're competing against yourself is a good thing. And my team and I, we're galvanized on a daily basis to come in and reimagine, disrupt, build a ton of excitement around our conference, and certainly appreciate and respect the entire landscape. And I have great friends that work at those conferences and applaud them for the work that they do. But we're here at the Big 12, controlling our own destiny, controlling our own fate with respect to how we market and build brands.
Was it your idea or someone on your team's idea to turn the Big 12 basketball championship into a larger event to have like folks like DJ Shaq and other artists perform?
I mean, listen, we're a mighty team of 10 here across all disciplines: licensing, merchandising and licensing, events, social, experiential, and we sit in rooms and we've got our whiteboards and we just ideate until we're blue in the face. And for us, everything that we do, we want to complement the great product that exists on the playing surfaces within the Big 12. And to be able to layer in the Shaquille O'Neals of the world or the Nellies accompanying our bands, partnering with streetwear brands like Bathing Ape, all these things are just to accentuate what is a phenomenal product. And specifically in Kansas City, to converge on a market that loves basketball as much as the Kansas City market does, and then amplify that with a ton of programming is exciting opportunity. I think you've seen it. This is, we approach football, Super Bowl Sunday. It's equally as much about a great matchup featuring two Big 12 quarterbacks, which is a nice connection, equally as much as the usher and all the other things surrounding the game. And that's the beautiful part about sports and entertainment. We truly are an entertainment business, and to be able to bring that to the collegiate space while still maintaining tradition is something that we take great pride in.
Who had the idea of the WWE belt for the football championship game?
That was I guess it was my idea, but it was a collective sort of to bring it to life. I have a long-standing relationship with WWE. When I worked for Brett in Brooklyn, we had a run of 3 or 4 SummerSlams in a row at Barclays Center, and I became very friendly with a lot of the executives over there. And a good friend of mine, Scott, who's the CRO over at WWE and leads a lot of their bigger initiatives. I was actually driving down to Houston for Houston's first game against TCU, and I was trying to think of what's our version. Last year we had Ashanti, and we had We had cool Bathing Ape collaboration.
Mhm.
I said, how can we plus this up? And as I was leaving a Bucky's, it dawned on me. It dawned on me that the WWE collab could be pretty cool. So I texted him in real time, and he got back to me right away and expressed his appreciation for the creativity and socialized a little bit more. And a few months later, we were off and running, and tremendous partners. We love WWE. We love that we could create a cool incentive for our student athletes to play on the field, for the most outstanding player to get the belt, and just a fully immersive experience that created a lot of cool synergies.
With that idea in particular, but your ideas in general, what has Commissioner Yormark ever said, no, guys, that's not going to work, or anything like that?
Listen, the best part about Brett and just our culture as a conference, ideas come from all corners of the office. It doesn't make a difference if you're fresh out of school or you're a seasoned veteran, you have a voice. And some of these ideas have been from recently hired staff. And I think that's such an empowering mechanism that everybody feels like they have a voice in the room. And are things that are suggested sometimes cut, of course. Sometimes it might be too soon for some initiatives. Other times it might not. We've got a lot of things on our plate. Does it make sense to add this one currently, or do we table it for another day? So that's just the mindset of ideation and brand building. Not everything that you bring to the table is going to bear fruit, nor is it going to see the light of day. However, aggressive mindsets afford you the opportunity to remain ambitious and to take full advantage of the opportunities that lie ahead. And I welcome that type of culture. Fortunately enough, throughout my career, I've been in a lot of places that have afforded that type of freedom with respect to creativity, creative liberties. And the same holds true here. And I know my team gets excited coming in every day, knowing that they're not just sort of doing the behind the scenes thing. They have a chance to really have a voice and present their ideas and suggestions to myself, as well as other senior members of the senior leadership team.
Marketing, growing up as a kid, was this something you always wanted to do? How'd you get started in it?
It was something that I always wanted to do indirectly. My family had a produce company in New York, actually in Brentwood, Central Islip, Long Island, where we would go south and pick up produce and then sell it throughout the five boroughs and out on Long Island. And for me, my business acumen was established relatively early. And while I didn't know, maybe it was marketing firsthand, I love the ability to have a product and figure out how to move the units, so to speak. And that family business, even every interview I've ever been on, I've referenced my grandparents' farm stand because it truly set the table for me understanding sort of what the business entails. And I would say my love for sports and playing the game, coupled with an opportunity to merge the business world, was too enticing of an opportunity not to pass up. And once I understood sort of the intricacies associated with the marketing process and brand building process, it was a no-brainer that was going to be my path forward.
I'm going to kind of put you on the spot because I know I'm assuming an answer here that I won't get a lot of detail from it, but what the heck? We got the Big 12 basketball championship in roughly a month. Any tease that you can give me and the viewers who will watch this later on about what to expect in Kansas City in a few weeks?
I mean, we announced during media day that Shaq was coming back, DJ Diesel. So that's something that we're really excited about. We had the Power and Light District hopping on last year on the championship, and we expect more of the same this year. The other thing that I would say you could expect is just the Big 12 Eats program. Again, as we think about other ways to attract new audiences and to engage with existing audiences, our Big 12 Eats program that we did last year was really well received. A themed menu item from each of our institutions, and our fan bases were really excited to go back and forth over whose was better. So there'll be another iteration of that'll be announced here shortly. But outside of that, you just gotta wait and see for the rest of the surprises.
And I know Houston fans and alums are making plans to be there for the first time Houston's in the Big 12, and men's basketball is doing well. I know they're looking forward to it. I am too myself. So with
It's
the
gonna be
newcomers coming in July, Colorado, Arizona State, Utah. Have you already begun working with them to welcome them, in terms of marketing promotions for the conference?
Yeah, no, we are in lockstep with our current members and our incoming members. I think we had a really nice trial run last year as we welcomed, Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF. So we had a really good blueprint for what that transition and implementation period looks like, and we're doing the same thing with our soon-to-be members, our incoming members, for this summer. It's a fun time to be able to go and check out their campuses and them attend our events. There's some really good synergy. Obviously, it's a small world in the collegiate space, so a lot of people already know one another, and we've really tried to just create a cohesive environment amongst our entire ecosystem, that our institutions at the conference level, all the various departments and subgroups, and that holds true on the marketing front. We meet on a regular basis. It's a great opportunity to bring thoughts together. This month is a really good example. You see the shooting shirts with Muhammad Ali that we're wearing on court. That's not just the conference driving that. The fact that all of our institutions bought in, the fact that we worked with all the various groups on campus to bring that initiative to life, just speaks to how in lockstep we are with our membership. And rising tide, lift all boats, and we're certainly in lockstep with them.
As a marketing person, have you already had ideas about working with Coach Prime in Colorado for the conference?
Man, I have ideas about every one of our coaches. I have every ideas about every one of our institutions. I think what affords us the opportunity with 4 time zones, 10 different states, 16 institutions, 90 million people sounds like endless opportunities. And we're thrilled for Colorado to join equally as much as Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. And, I think the fact that there's beautiful narratives that exist for each of our institutions, our coaching staffs, our student athletes, as a marketer and a comms storytelling perspective, we're all in for, making sure we're amplifying and manufacturing these moments across our entire landscape.
And touched on a few more things, then we get to talk about the Pistons. Big 12 Mexico. What are your ideas or the conference's ideas to help market Big 12 Mexico in Mexico?
Well, first and foremost, you think about our footprint and where a lot of our institutions reside, Houston being one of them, obviously the 2 Arizona schools, Texas Tech, UCF. There's just endless amounts of association or proximity to, obviously a large Hispanic community, specifically on some of those Texas schools that I mentioned, close to the Mexico border. We think this is a tremendous opportunity to put a flag in the ground, to build a presence, not just go there once, but to really build some continuity and connect with Mexico City. We've had several opportunities to go and visit the market. It is a beautiful market, a city with, I believe, 22 million people, something. Don't quote me on that. But it's remarkable just to see the passion. I was there for the NBA game a couple months ago, Magic and Hawks, and to see the passion for American sports, and for us to be able to introduce this matchup of Kansas and Houston as the first ever matchup next December at CDMX in Mexico City is going to be a tremendous experience for our student athletes, for the local Mexican fan base. We're thrilled to be a part of it. And again, I think this goes back to the Rucker Park conversations, the Pro Day conversations. We're just trying new things that we think will resonate and continue to build our brand, not only with our existing audience, but it's important that you continue to introduce new audiences to what the Big 12 has to offer.
And introducing new audiences to how competitive, exciting Big 12 basketball is. Obviously, I'm a basketball person, but Commissioner Yormark has said many times that he believes college basketball has been basically undermarketed in the landscape. What do you think about that, and what can be done to open more eyes nationwide for folks to Big 12 basketball?
I mean, listen, I'm speaking to both the men's and women's game. We've got an exciting product every single night. It's a gauntlet. We like to say no nights off in the Big 12. And you see that on full display every single evening. Um, we tout that we're the best conference in the country. We certainly believe it. Uh, I think just listening over the past month or so to everyone saying this, our matchups feel like we're in the Sweet 16. And there truly are no nights off, and that excitement and energy, and how it translates into all the healthy banter back and forth on social. It just shows you how powerful the Big 12 basketball brand is. And it's something that I know Brett takes great pride in, as well as the rest of our staff. And I think we're really looking forward to continuing to cement ourselves as such a great basketball conference, making our championship a must attend event, and then we just buckle up and prepare for a long March Madness in hopes that all of our institutions advance as far as they can.
All right, final minutes here. You and I met at the Big 12 Media Day, and you touched on it. Small world. It is indeed a small world. When I saw that you worked for the Pistons, and I have been a Detroit Pistons fan for, gee whiz, since 1986. Just your thoughts on the time that you worked with the organization, what you learned, and relationships that you built there and established there.
Man, let me tell you, I had a very sweet gig at the Rams, and I love my Rams family, my Ramily. So when I left Detroit, I'm sorry, when I left LA for Detroit, it was a difficult decision. But for me, it was the right market. They had the right leadership in place for where I needed to go. Ultimately, to become a CMO, that was a part of my roadmap, and I needed that experience in Detroit to set me up for success. And it over delivered to date. It has been the most gratifying and fulfilling role that I've served. It was during the pandemic. It was, during just difficult times, and the power of the Pistons brand, as well as, the community initiatives and efforts we do, just they resonate different, just given the times. But what I will say about the organization, it's best in class. From ownership to Arn Tellem to all the leaders within the group, the alumni. I've been fortunate enough to develop a really good relationship with a lot of the alumni there. I know, you love Rick Mahorn. Rick Mahorn is a near and dear friend. I was just back in Detroit last week, and my son, we always say he was made in Detroit. He was born in Dallas, and I brought him to bring my son back to just. He's only 9 months, but I wanted him to get a sense of Detroit and all the people that were championing. This is a long journey for my wife and I. They were a very big part of our support system in sort of bringing this to life, pun intended. And I'll forever be grateful for the Pistons organization. I know it doesn't always translate to wins, but I can tell you right now, the fan base is as loyal as they get, and you saw it this year with the Lions. The same holds true with the Pistons. They love their Pistons. Win, lose, or draw. Obviously, you always welcome more wins, but they do everything else right. And if you know their community efforts, if you know what they give back in the 313, it's really beautiful to watch. And I can't wait for things to turn around and the team can get the necessary, the worthy spotlight they deserve as being best in class franchise. And it's when you think about your two championships that you got a chance to watch early in the 80s, early 90s, and then obviously what happened in '04. The league just celebrated the 75th anniversary. 3 of 75 belong to the Pistons. There's something to be said about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for saying that. One last question. What advice would you give to anyone who wants to follow your path of getting to marketing, become ultimately a chief marketing officer?
It doesn't happen overnight. You've got to put in the work. The work you put in the gym, right? Like great players just don't show up and just they're automatically great. They have to put in the work. The best have put in the best. Have put in a tireless effort to ensure that they were perfecting their craft. And I would recommend the same for anybody looking to get into marketing. Understand what makes the industry go. What are the emerging trends? Let's look back at the past. Have you done your homework on the people who've really set the tone? Are you following the brands that represent, the disruption and innovation that exists to be a compelling marketer? All things that, and you need to have in your toolkit to be successful, because it's a very crowded marketplace. And whether you're competing against your peers, in my mind, I look at I praise everyone. Like looking at the NBA the other day with the new court that they're rolling out for the skills competition. That's genius. And I'm always admired by how everybody's trying to one up each other. And I think with that competition comes better results. We all become better as a result of the constant one upping. And I would just ask everyone to make sure you network and connect with the right people to understand their journeys. And obviously you're on your own path, but it's important that you learn from those who've been there and utilize their knowledge as a springboard for your future success.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tyrel Kirkham, for taking time to speak with me today. We talked about the Big 12, and he was kind enough to talk about the Detroit Pistons as well. So thank you very much, Tyrel. And hopefully I will see you in a few weeks in Kansas City.
See you in Kansas City. Must attend event. 2 weeks, May 7th through the 7th. Sorry, March 7th through the 17th. Men's and women's first, followed by the men's. It's going to be one heck of a time in Kansas City.
Thank you very much. You take care.
All right, you do the same, Chris. Thanks again for having me on.